This is your before and after story. Southeastern College can help you prepare for a secure and fulfilling career in the growing healthcare field. We offer a wide range of careers to choose from. So whether you want to be a medical assistant, medical billing and coding specialist, nurse, surgical technologist, or another healthcare career, we've got you covered. Become a vital part of a healthcare team and make a real difference. Southeastern College, your future is bright. Visit sec.edu to get started.
Always follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money. Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. We are live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino. This show is brought to you by DraftKings as we kick off this hour talking about the NFL, games that happened yesterday and over the weekend, tying them in to the numbers that we have for the divisional round. And here is a little bit of breaking news early on a Tuesday morning. For those of you who stuck around and watched the finish to the Eagles-Buccaneers game last night, you saw how emotional it was for longtime Eagles Pro Bowl and probably future Hall of Fame center Jason Kelce. He had tears in his eyes. This from Adam Schefter moments ago. He told his teammates Monday night in the locker room that he is, in fact, retiring. He has considered retiring after other recent seasons, but this time is said to be real, and it's happening. We talked about this in the first hour of the show. Another key cog in that offensive line, Lane Johnson, very, very good at his craft. He called it very embarrassing last night, and he doesn't know. He also added, I don't know what's going to happen, but we are talking about severe changes. He told that to Howard Eskin after the loss last night. So that's the beginning of who knows how many other players, because, again, as they were getting blown out, ESPN made it a point to go around and show individual Eagles players like Brandon Graham, like Fletcher Cox, like Kelce and others, how long they've been in the league. Then you saw Darius Slay go down with, that looked wicked last night.
Another one, yeah.
With how he got hurt. And they're like, we don't know. Like, guys are going to be in their final year of the contract. They might have decisions to make. This is the first domino to go down for the Eagles.
Yep. This is just wild how you could see just a ton of changes and maybe even some firings with a team that was up 10 in the Super Bowl a year ago. And now could they clean house? Oh, and they started 10-1. So, again, the timing of that piece yesterday on ESPN.com of all the issues and what's gone wrong. You know, did he lose the locker room? What they said no, but the A.J. Brown stuff and would see if they come out with major changes and what happens. First things first, they got to get, and that's the other one. How about a little win one for the Gipper? How about a little, let's go out and try to put Kelce on send him off on a high note, right? I mean, they couldn't have gone any worse for Philadelphia. Both sides of the ball.
Yeah, they're just not good enough to do that.
You embarrassed yourself, though. I mean, it was the worst example or tackling you're ever going to see. The scheme stinks. You're running into two guys run into each other on the Moore touchdown. The angles you took trying to make said tackles were awful. You score 9 points. You had one big pass to Smith. That was it. Sirianni's taking points off the board, although I can't kill him for what happened. But it's just to get blown out 32-9.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. But you're right. There could be, I think everything's in play here with Howie Roseman and what they do in the offseason.
Yeah, to think about going back to last year and how, like, overall, top to bottom, how strong their roster looked.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely right there with the 49ers, maybe even a little bit better. You thought the same thing coming into this year. Off the Super Bowl loss, they gave it away. They were up double digits, as you said. To begin the year like they did, I mean, a lot more wins than they probably should have had when they were 11 games into the season. And then we saw kind of the true colors down. Again, it depends on how you grade the game against the Bills at home, that they were very fortunate to come back and win, because that was 3.5 for a lot of the week. It closed either 3 or 2.5. But some people had 3.5. So
yeah,
they really have not covered a game since the KC game. And that was back in November. That's 2 months ago. That's the last time they covered a game. Yeah. The examples just kept getting worse and worse down the stretch. The Giants game on Christmas Day in the second half when Tyrod Taylor came in, you've said it before. It needs to be pointed out again. If Taylor starts that game, Eagles probably lose that. The game then in Week 18, think about what's on the line. You can still win the division and get the 2 seed. And are you scoreboard watching? Sure. If you were, you knew the Cowboys were, at the beginning of that game against the Commanders, in a fight, and they were absolutely not blowing out the Commanders until later on in that game. and you were dead and buried as soon as that game started. Again, every time I looked up, there's another Giant score, or they're in the red zone yet again. There's another turnover.
Aikman nailed it. The body language about how they looked like they didn't want to be there. I thought it was spot on. The one that got me was losing to Arizona at home. There were 2 touchdowns in that game. They get a pick six. You can't stop Arizona?
They gave up 450 yards of offense in that game.
Last night, they allowed 157 yards after contact. I mean, feel free to wrap somebody up, for God's sakes.
On those big plays, again, Paul, you are demoted to the third string in college for making plays like that defensively, or you are cut from your high school team. That's how ugly it was last night.
Yeah,
and when you have players now retiring, others players calling it absolutely embarrassing on the team, that'll wrap it. I mean, that's us. That's what we do. That's what mainstream media does.
Well, this is the other thing you don't know, and it's hard to handicap. How much did a coordinator mean to a team? And then does the head coach get exposed? That's what happened this year with Sirianni. In years past, we also had the same organization. Well, Peterson won the Super Bowl, but a lot of it was Frank Reich. Okay, Frank Reich, please. But that people thought that was the case too. But here, it's you lose Gannon and Steichen, and oh boy. Right, they did start 10-1, but it was smoke and mirrors. It was like the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's like, how are they winning games? And then just this run was just hideous down the stretch.
And by the way, they took money yesterday.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it was bumped up from 2.5 to 3. And at least on the East Coast, we talked to Thomas Gable from Borgata, and he had a great line, right? He thought it was funny that the same people in Philadelphia, that area, who are calling for Sirianni's head, were lining up left and right to bet him and lay whatever number was on the board.
Well, here's another example of people bet what they want to see, though. I'm betting what I want to happen and root for, and that's my home team to win and cover. And that's what that was.
Yeah, now we have to turn around after what we saw last night with the Buccaneers. Again, Baker Mayfield did not look injured for 1 second of that game last night. All this, where's he at, 60, 70% nonsense, that was out the window as soon as that game started. You knew that he was going to be fine.
I love this game. Love it.
Against the Lions?
Well, I like the points, right? I want to take the 6. But I love it just that it's the redemption tour. I mean, it's Mayfield against Goff. And this guy was awful going back. Browns, get out of here. You can't play anymore. They set him up to fail in the game at Lambeau. And he, it's on himself too. But remember the game on Christmas when he kept throwing interceptions and they're gashing him on the ground. He goes to the Panthers. It doesn't work out. He goes to the Rams. And it's like, okay, well, Tampa will pick him up. And it's like, are they serious? Are they going to start Baker Mayfield? You mentioned the win total. I mean, they were 225-1 here at Circa to win the Super Bowl. And then it's the Lions finally win a playoff game, first time since 91. And then can Goff do this, and can Detroit get to the NFC title game? And can Dan Campbell pull this off?
Yeah,
so
how about that?
To think, and I know they were the team to beat in that division, but to think that whoever wins this game is going to be in the NFC title game, that's nuts.
Yeah, exactly what I was
awesome.
going to say.
But the other thing is,
how about Tampa hosting Green Bay?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Bay of Pigs, Pete Axtell. You couldn't stop Nick Mullins twice. I'm still very concerned about this Detroit defense.
Oh, you have to be.
And I completely throw out the meeting in Week 6 when it was 20-6.
It's a long time ago.
Nick Mullins threw for 400 yards a couple times. You saw what Stafford did. They had the issues in the red zone. You couldn't stop the Bears in both meetings.
I mean, to your point, what did the first matchup between Tampa and Philly, in Tampa, by the way, mean last night? Here's what you do.
Oh, good point. Yeah,
throw it right in the garbage. It meant absolutely nothing.
Couldn't move the ball. Tampa could not move the ball in that game.
Right.
And that's when the Eagles toyed with them, and then a 10-minute drive to run the clock out.
Yeah,
excellent. Meant nothing. Just like Week 1, Baltimore and Houston.
Actually, looking back now, that may have been Philly's best performance of the entire year.
On both sides, yeah.
Week 3, Monday night against Tampa.
Probably, yes.
They didn't have many.
Yep. But it's a funny game. It's a funny sport. Everyone knows the final score after the game's been played.
Yeah.
I mean, 2 weeks ago, I had Tampa. I mean, it did nothing against the Saints. They treated it like an exhibition game. I mean, it could have wrapped up the division, and they looked horrible. They were down 3 scores in that game.
I will say, like, every game is a snowflake, right? It takes on a different life. When you want to compare the teams that they played down the stretch, they didn't do anything against the Saints. Saints overall have a pretty good defense. They didn't do anything against Carolina. Well,
right.
Mayfield was hurt, and Carolina's defense is actually pretty decent. Who did they do something against and put up good? Green Bay, bad defense. Philadelphia, maybe the worst defense in football.
Mm-hmm.
So they have that. And by the way, I would say Detroit's in the category of the latter two teams rather than the former.
Philadelphia will have to clean house defensively. I'm talking coaches, personnel, everything. Because to me, it is the worst defense in the league. Yep. And to me, I have to take the Chiefs.
Are you going to wait, though?
I'm with humans. Yeah. But the last 5 meetings all have been in Kansas City. Buffalo has had success regular season. They lose the epic game in overtime in the playoffs with the squib kick. If you squib it, you win 42-36. And then they lost in the AFC title game 38-24. But I'm with you, just with the injuries, and Kansas City's got that extra rest, which is big. Not only do I have to play Monday, I got guys are going down every other play here.
Yeah.
And I'm still concerned about the play calling, and it's just, do you realize the weapon you have in Allen? He needs 15 carries a game.
I was so disappointed in that yesterday because it cost me,
And I'm not even counting tush-push. It doesn't count.
No.
I want design runs,
how
good he is. And there's a lot like Tampa. Run the ball,
right?
Especially early on. Cook is having success on the ground. Put him in third and manageable, second and short. Stop being pass happy.
Did we have 2 design runs for Allen yesterday?
Seems about right.
Maybe 2. It could have been 3. I guess that was pretty much it, though. Yeah, that one hurt. But Mahomes, again, as a dog, only 10 times in his career. Mm-hmm. 8 1-1 ATS, 7-3 straight up.
Yep, but it's finally happening, though. He's finally playing a road playoff game.
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it took this long. So I guess you could say it was Miami and all the injuries, whoop-de-doo. But they look good, and Rice was fantastic in the win. But
I thought the Chiefs' offense in those cold conditions, I thought the Chiefs' offense popped I think that was one of their better performances as of late.
And Kelsey involved early on, and Pacheco is a problem too.
I would think Pacheco is going to be a big factor in this game coming up on Sunday.
But you see with Buffalo, I mean, they have weapons, man. You get good to see Knox back in there, Kincaid, Diggs. Now you should get Davis back.
I will say this, though. The Chiefs' defense has been pretty damn good entire year.
17 a game. One bad play against Miami. That was it.
All right. They are primed for the picking tonight. Expect some serious chaos if it's anything like last week. I'll explain next here on VSiN.
Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Get unlimited access to the VSiN.com/picks page. For more VSiN Pro picks, become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Use promo code FTM and Follow the Money will give you 10% off an annual subscription. Use promo code FTM.
I will point out that the last week in college basketball has been bedlam. All of these ranked teams going down to unranked teams. I will say that just because it happened over the last 7 to 10 days, we have a lot of examples tonight of that. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but I will point out some of those games that we have on the board. We talked about this briefly with Matt Humans earlier in the show. Purdue was laying 9.5 or 10 against Indiana on the road. Purdue has a top 5 offense, Pauly. They're right around top 20 on defense. They would qualify based on Ken Palm ratings over the years as a true national title contender. Now, they were 7.5 at Nebraska last week, and they lost. They were -5 at Northwestern December 1st. They lost that game. They're only 2-4 ATS in the Big Ten. Hoosiers are 4-2 in conference play ATS. Mike Woodson is the only coach since 2012 to have 3 wins against Purdue. And if he wins tonight outright, he would be 4-1 in that time. He's talked about the difference with this Purdue team, though, compared to previous years, is their three-point shooting, and he's spot on. They're shooting almost 40% as a team from 3, which is great. And in previous years, it's been very low 30s, and they have multiple guys that can kill you from 3. And this team offensively has been awesome all year long.
Well, I've been saying this for 15 years, and it's true again this year. You cover up the name on the jersey, and you can't tell, who the 2 seed is and who the 15 seed is.
For the most part.
And we saw the madness again this past year with what happened with Florida Atlantic and San Diego State getting to the title game. This thing's wide open. And again, I'll raise my hand, salivating to bet against Purdue and Tennessee once we get to the tournament.
Yeah, at some point in the tournament, right.
Yeah, but you just saw all the upsets and who's good and who can make a deep run in March and who can put together how many teams are capable of bringing an A or B plus game 5 games in a row, 4 games in a row?
Right.
Let's start there. But I'm with you and Matt with the points in this one, and can't get there with Purdue. And there's so many examples tonight where you look at like the New Mexico game, you look at Kansas State where you either have a ranked team laying a short number, or the ranked opponent is playing an unranked team and the unranked team is favored.
Yeah, Baylor opened up 2 against Kansas State. Bart Torvik has this a 1-point game in terms of Baylor winning the game. They're down to either a pick'em or a 1-point favorite now. They're top 5 or 6 on offense on the year. They shoot the ball from downtown extremely well, but they're outside of the top 50 on defense. K-State is top 30 on defense, but outside the top 100 on offense. Recent Baylor games, they were lane 4 at Oklahoma State, had to survive. They won and covered in overtime. They were 4.5 at home to BYU. They won and covered. They were 6.5 at home to Cincinnati. They won, did not cover. K-State is 3-0 ATS in Big 12 play. Baylor is 3-0 under in league play. And I agree with the move. I like K-State on the opening line last night, catching 2. And again, down to either 1 here or a pick 'em in this spot.
Joe Lunardi has Baylor a 4 seed in the latest bracketology.
2 teams that I have a strongest position on to win the whole thing on futures tickets. Baylor, before the season started. And I am...
Number?
50-1.
All right.
And I am super high on Kentucky at numbers ranging between 16 and 27-1. I like Texas A&M on Saturday in that game against Kentucky. They won in overtime. They covered the game. They were bet from a pick 'em to 3. My problem with Kentucky at this point is it happens every single game. They are not going to have the defensive numbers come tournament time to be, thought of. If you go based on the last 20 years plus with Ken Palm numbers, their defensive metrics are just going to be too lousy. So I don't think they can turn it around. I don't think they have, unless they completely flip the script here and go back to who they've been under Calipari throughout the years. And this team does not have that makeup because he's embraced the analytics and the 3-point shooting. I don't think they're going to get there defensively. So they can outscore almost anybody, but defensively they can't get. And teams shoot like over to the moon against this team somehow every time they play them.
Dayton's laying a big number against St. Louis. Joe Lunardi has them a 6 seed. He's got Tennessee a 2 seed. Oklahoma's in action tonight. They're a 5 seed. And Iowa State, BYU, good one. Iowa State's a 7 seed. He's got BYU a 5 seed. BYU after the hot start, a couple losses here. And I was talking to our guy Joe Mizell Saturday. It's just weird to just look and see BYU, Central Florida's a Big 12 conference game.
Oh, it's so strange.
You get lost in some of the stuff with the realignment. But that's another one tonight.
Now, Kansas, they were just laying 7 at Central Florida.
Yeah. They
lost the game outright. This game opened up 7 against Oklahoma State, bet down to 6.5. I will say that per some of the metrics, UCF is about a 30. Their power rating is about 30 spots higher than Oklahoma State.
And I forgot the BYU's laying 4.5, by the way, as well. So so Matt likes New Mexico. I like New Mexico. And this is, I think, where the sports books and the line is telling you something. Again, Utah State is ranked 16th. They only have 1 loss. Yeah. And I know it's been an easy schedule. Joe Lunardi has them in bracketology a 7 seed. Matt referenced, was it on air or off air? He referenced the UNLV game. Did you see what happened in that game? They were down 5, I think, with 10 seconds.
Yeah, he brought that up on the air.
He did that. Okay. Yeah. They hit a 3. There was a foul away from the ball. It was nuts.
Oh, they were totally dead.
Oh yeah, like they got a 5-point play to win the game. I've never seen that before. So and now it's New Mexico. Matt nailed it beautifully. Completely different team at home, and it's always been a tough place to play with the Pit. And I love this example with New Mexico State, but they haven't lost at home. They only have 3 losses. They're the good teams, but they're all on the road, and here you see the line 5.5, 6. It just tells you unranked against ranked, but unranked is laying this. This is really nuts, though, to see a spread this high.
Oh yeah,
when it's against a top 15 team, mind you.
Sure,
top 20 team.
Yeah, it's a great schedule tonight. It really is. I'll give you another example here. Actually, before I get to the Wisconsin game, can you guys throw that tweet back up about the Big 12? Now, the Big 12 has been the best conference of college basketball for quite a while.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
Fran Fraschilla had this. Think about this for a second. According to their CPI, all 14 Big 12 teams are among the top 16 remaining SOS left. Every night is a tournament game, is what he talked about. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Of the top 16 remaining strength of schedules, 14 are in the Big 12.
Oh, yeah.
What?
It just get enough attention because everyone's focused on football with conference realignment.
Yeah.
But then you think, hey, guys, Houston, it's been a great program. Yeah. Now they come in.
How about Arizona next year?
Oh, God. What is Jed Fish doing? Oh,
yeah.
But right. But that's actually a good point.
That is
Oh, man, I never thought of that.
So how many losses are these teams going to have then? But then do you knock them because they're playing a gauntlet every single night?
No, you can't. That's where even if you're 4 games under 500 in conference play, I don't care.
Oh, and you might have...
Your resume is going to be so strong, and your SOS is going to be through the roof.
And you're going to have a 6, 7, 8 loss team maybe in the mix for a 1 or a 2 seed overall, potentially, because it's so strong. Now, this is what I cannot believe. The flip and the change that we're seeing with this specific Wisconsin team this year, where it's always been, terrible offense, with the exception of the Kaminsky-Decker years, and really, really good defense. They are top 10 in the country on offense. That I did not see coming.
Wow.
Big Ten road games for Wisconsin because they open up 7 tonight against Penn State. Nittany Lions are taking some money. Wisconsin was +5 at Michigan State. They won outright by 13. They were +3 at Ohio State. They won outright by 11. They are 5-0 ATS in Big Ten play. Penn State 5-1 to the over in Big Ten play. Total also down from 147 to 146. And more money, in fact, because Wisconsin's down to 5.5. I can't bet against this team right now. They're in too good a shape. Even though they're on the road tonight, they could easily lose this one outright, but I can't believe what I'm watching with the turnaround here from Greg Gard. For one individual year anyway, it's been really fun. And they're good. They have multiple guys who can score like maybe 20 points per game, and that's big in college basketball.
Well, it's also refreshing. I mean, you went from Bennett and Bo Ryan. Wisconsin shouldn't have been the slow, plodding, walk it up play in the 50s.
Ever.
Shouldn't have been the case. You get some athletes, recruit. The Kaminsky thing was great, and let's play some fun basketball here and not watch paint dry.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
Oh, it was excruciating for a long, long time. So I'm like Matt. He came on earlier. I found the best number I could find on North Carolina. They blew out Syracuse. They're playing some good basketball. The best number I could find on North Carolina was 24-1. I added a little bit of them to win the whole thing. So Baylor, Kentucky, North Carolina, and I have some of these fringe teams that could get in as like, a 9, 10, or an 11 seed that were super high numbers to begin the year. Maybe do some hedging come tournament time. But that's pretty much where I'm sitting at right now. Good schedule tonight. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow we're coming in. It happened again. College basketball. We had 7 more upsets. All these teams went down. But you're right, Paul. There are so many teams probably like in the top 15 or 20. You can't be surprised on any given night when they lose. So that's what the sport has turned into. It's Follow the Money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. As always, you can get in touch with the show. We're on X at VSiN Live, at Mitch Moss Radio, at Pauly Howard. Email is open. It's ftm@vsin.com. Matt St. Marie is going to join the show up next. He was the sole winner of the Circa Millions contest here. Wait until you hear his story. It's a doozy coming up next here on VSiN.
Get on board. I love Omaha Steaks. Mitch does as well. You'll fall in love at first bite with their tender steaks, juicy burgers, air-chilled chicken, and more. You'll love every bite. It's their Omaha Steaks guarantee. Go to omahasteaks.com/VSiN. omahasteaks.com/VSiN. You get 4 free air-chilled boneless chicken breast and 4 free rich, juicy boneless pork chops with your order. Minimum purchase may apply. Get it now, omahasteaks.com.
This is a great story. Pauly, we talk about the contests every week out here throughout the regular season anyway, of the NFL year. And picking 5 games a week in the NFL is not easy. You had a cabana out here at Circa this past weekend. I'm talking to multiple guys out there, longtime bettors. They're like 5 a week. I might like 1 NFL game a week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How do I come up with 5?
Especially with when the bye weeks kick in.
No, this guy won the whole thing. He's got an incredible story. His name is Matt St. Marie. And he won Circa Millions all by himself. Amazing job, Matt. And thanks for coming on today. Congratulations on your success.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been a crazy 10 or 11 days here. So thanks for having me this morning.
Here, let's begin here. You went to the same college as Paul Howard?
St. Cloud State. Yes. Yeah. Huskies. Yep.
Absolutely.
So,
You're a good man. You're a good man. Great taste.
Were you guys close in years?
I think just a couple. I was 2003. I started there.
Yeah,
okay.
I graduated in 2000.
Okay, we have to put this photo up.
Yes.
Pauly is super proud of this photo. He's referred to himself as the hot goalie for many, many years.
All area, all conference.
Oh, yeah.
You recognize that mugshot?
That is one fantastic photo. That is like 90s goalie Minnesota hockey in its glory right there.
Yeah,
all encompassing.
You nailed it, buddy. That's hockey hair. That is Minnesota hockey hair right there, baby.
Got to have the salad.
That's right. Look at that.
Okay, so let's get into the contest that you took down out here, winning $1 million all on your own. Do you have like past success playing in contests, and this year it really took off for you, or what's your background in contests overall?
Yeah, so this was first year for me entering the Circa Millions contest. I had done a couple offshore contests the prior years just to kind of test the waters a little bit. You know, I had like a lot lower stakes, and I fared okay in those. Nothing special or anything like that. But you know, last year around this time, I told my wife I wanted to bet on myself. I wanted to register for Millions. Flew out in July, late July, to enter Millions and Survivor, and just give it a whirl and see how I do. And yeah, had a great, phenomenal year. A lot of lucky bounces along the way. Super fun, stressful, anxiety, all of it. But as far as past track record, I don't have any. This was the first time entering, and had a great year.
That is. How many entries did you have?
I just had one solo entry. Didn't want to go too big, too soon in the contest, considering the stakes and at play here. So just one entry.
That is unbelievable, man. Good for you. Were you having like success right out of the gates, and you knew like, this is pretty cool, like I might have a chance here to be in the mix at the end?
So I started off 4-1 week 1, and then quickly went 2-3. So I'm like, all right, that's like about 60%. But then I just continued to be consistent. Like I had a bunch of 3-2s and 4-1s. I think towards mid-October, I had like a 5-0, 4-1 back to back, and then I put myself in the top 10 for the first time, like as early as that. But it was basically pretty consistent all year up until week 17 when I went 1-4, and I really lucked out there because I think everybody in the top 10 or top 20 also went 1-4, maybe 2-3 at the best. So I like lost no ground at that week. But it was a really, really consistent year. I think I had 4 5-0s along the way, so that really bolstered me up so I could absorb that 1-4 in week 17. But no, I had a really, really fortunate run there with a lot of consistency.
What was your strategy in terms of what was working for you while you were so hot picking games?
Oh boy. I'm not sure if there's one specific part of my strategy. I looked at every matchup holistically as much as I could, whether it was power ratings, weather, injury related stuff, advanced metrics like DVOA, EPA stuff. And then I also just waited as long as I could on Saturday to post it. It was a little difficult because I coached my 5-year-olds in hockey on Saturday. So I'd be, hopefully practice was at 8 a.m. so I could get back before like 2 o'clock deadline for pick'ems. But no, as far as strategy, I just tried to look at every single matchup. I basically crossed off Thursday games, just because there's so much news that comes out on Friday regarding injuries or market movements and that stuff. And then as far as like closing line value stuff, sometimes I'd take it. Sometimes I'd just want to fade it all together, depending on what the game looked like and how confident I felt in it. So there's a little bit of game theory that went into that, but I didn't really have like a tried and true method or strategy when it came down to the games I picked.
Let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest, Matt St. Marie, he was the sole winner of the Circa Millions contest out here where we broadcast from every single day, took it down. It's amazing. First year ever in the contest, and he only had one entry. So, think about how incredible that is. How many weeks would you have to really go from 8 games to 5, and you have to leave 2 or 3 games on the cutting room floor compared to weeks where it's like, oh man, this is pretty thin pickings here. I only like 3 games, but I got to come up with 2 more.
I'd say much more of I like 3 and I need to find 2 more aspect of it. Man, I couldn't tell you. There's not many weeks where you find more than 5 that you like. Mm-hmm. I'd say actually week 18, I had a harder time down selecting. I actually liked 8 games in week 18. And so there's a chance that when I look at the short card I had on week 18, I almost could have overlapped identically with Ryan, except for him and I were always on opposite sides of Buffalo and Miami. But for the most part, I looked at his selections and I was like, man, I could have almost boxed him out from contest selection. The games I selected that week.
Sure.
But yeah, much more hard to find 5.
So you brought up closing line value a little earlier and like overall strategy. There's one game that comes to mind. It was late in the season. It was Jacksonville against Carolina. And that number during the week was 6.5, and that was a contest number. Well, come kickoff time, and I think when you had to post for the contest, it was either 3.5 or 4. What did you do with a game like that?
It's funny that week. I liked it more when who was it? Who ended up starting? Was it Trevor or Beathard that game? I can't remember.
I think.
But anyway, there was
that was week 17. I want to say
Beathard.
Yeah,
started?
yeah,
it's Beathard. Yeah.
Beathard. I actually liked it more when Trevor Lawrence was like questionable to play. When I saw Beathard starting, I remember like, man, I actually don't like this game as much anymore. But like when it was 6.5, I liked it. When it moved down to 3.5, obviously there's closing line value there. It was late in the season too, so I think I had a 2-game lead at that point, or 1.5. So that was almost like at that point, like I need to take it as far as like boxing out my competition. And then I kind of liked it, but then when I heard the Beathard news, I almost I liked it less at that point. But there's like instances where I think closing line value, the later it went into the season, it became more valuable, especially as the leader. Whereas I think if you're, down below the, if you're trying to catch up or try to get into the cash, you probably want to go contrarian or look for a different spot.
It doesn't hurt when you're 5-0, 4 different weeks, as you said. That way you can afford 1 week to go 1-4 and still be in the mix to win that thing at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. I really got fortunate with those that stretch. I think between Thanksgiving and Christmas Eve, I went 22-3, which was like the hottest streak I had all year. So if the quarterly, lined up differently, I kind of probably took one down. But that was probably the hottest streak I had all season, and put me in a great spot to win the competition.
I mean, think about that. Any stretch of 22-3 is just crazy
what
good.
A story.
What did you do with the final game of the regular season, the Bills and Dolphins, that Sunday night game?
I took the Bills with laying the points 3. There was too many injuries on Miami side going into that game. Plus, with the last game of the contest, allowed a great hedging opportunity if it allowed itself, and it did. So, I took a little bit of a hedge there with Miami. But overall, I mean, going into it, I liked Miami from when I saw the lines on Monday morning or Tuesday morning that week opener. Like, I immediately gravitated towards that with that spot with the Miami injuries. And then I thought Buffalo's coming in hot. Daquan Jones was back, and they were playing really strong in the secondary too. They were pretty hot on defense more than offense the last half of the season. So I really liked that spot for Buffalo. How
was the weekend after you got the money? Did you blow anything? And what are your plans with the money?
About a minute left here.
Yeah. So the only thing we have planned right now is we want to take a spring break trip with the kids. So we're eyeing up a nice Hawaiian spring break and get out of the Minnesota winter tundra.
Yep.
Other than that, we'll take care of the kids' college fund and then invest the rest. Maybe a northern Minnesota lakefront property in the next few years.
Oh, beautiful. Okay, that'd be a good way. In the final seconds that we have here, do you like anything for the divisional round coming up?
Oh, I'll be honest. After the contest, I've not even looked at a line. I don't even know what the Detroit -6 seems a little hot. So if that creeps up anymore, you got to take Tampa Bay plus the 6.
Totally fair. I get it. By the way, he's on X. You can follow him at Matty Saint. Congratulations again, man. That was awesome. Great job today. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's been my pleasure.
Yep.
Good job. Great
there
to
you
meet
go.
you.
Matt St. Marie. He won Circa Millions here all by himself. First time he ever entered the contest. Up next, could Tomlin be gone? That's next here on VSiN. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL playoffs, is bringing you an offer that'll help make the playoffs electrifying. New customers can bet $5 on any game and get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code VEGAS. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code VEGAS. The crown is yours. So we had a doubleheader, NFL action on Saturday, Sunday, and on Monday. And, of course, the Bills-Steelers game was moved back to yesterday because of the inclement weather and that, I don't even know what you want to call it. It looked like a blizzard combined with an avalanche in Buffalo on Sunday. So the game was not played on that day. Most books action was still live and open. A couple books maybe voided tickets, so it was a refund on what you bet. But so that went from people being on the Steelers and movement on taking the 10 to a big move on the under with one offshore book opening up 44.5, and it was around 33 before Sunday, and the game was moved. And then it went, of course, Bills covering and the over. So people who laid the 10 got there, and over 39.5 also got there. I look back at that game, and I know that there was some controversy on that fumble with Freiermuth and whether or not it hit off his helmet. Was he out of bounds or not? But how about the Pickens fumble to give the Bills great field position?
Yep.
And then the INT in the end zone. If you watch that drive closely, Elam, the cornerback for the Bills, was getting absolutely torched on that drive. And then he's in the end zone. That was an accidental INT because the guy hasn't beaten the end zone. He turns around like this. He's like, oh, there's the ball, puts his hands out, and it hits his hands, and he holds onto the ball somehow to secure the INT. No way that should have happened.
Yep.
And so they eventually, it was a comfortable lead throughout much of that game, but should they have covered the 31-17? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, well, at the end, it was tough because the back door is wide open. Now, you get the gift where Bass, you ever see a guy miss that bad on a short field goal? It wasn't even close. So he misses that, and then I guess you could say the Bills are going to run him out, and then you get the blocked field goal,
right,
which set up the touchdown as well, and then the punter got hurt on the play too, the holder. But I also felt Pittsburgh got a tough whistle with some of the stuff, but I thought the Freiermuth call was horrendous. That is a clear recovery by Buffalo. Then there was no explanation afterwards. And then Sterator said, yeah, but he hit his helmet, but you can't. Sterator said you can't then say that after the fact once you go to replay. That's what Sterator said.
That's not a reviewable part of the play?
That's what he said, yeah.
Because his body is touching out of bounds.
That's what Nance said.
Right, his helmet bounces off
the ball
the helmet.
His helmet. But Sterator said after the fact you can't do that. I thought that was, in any event, I thought it was a clear recovery by Buffalo. And then you just come on, it's like, oh, okay, well, it's Pittsburgh ball. And no explanation. Because they blew the call on the Pickens play, which was an obvious fumble, McDermott has to challenge that.
Right.
Then he loses. He's out of challenges in the second quarter.
That's right.
The potential ramifications.
Also, for Pittsburgh's sake, get Warren the ball more.
Yeah, absolutely. Run the ball. Both teams need to run the ball more. Buffalo is too pass happy, and again, we talked about the design runs and what they should do from Allen, but Warren was averaging 5 yards a carry, and they were too pass happy, and then the drive at the end was a joke. I mean, come on. Rudolph, throw the ball in the end zone. You're down 2 scores with less than 2 minutes, and you're out of timeout. Scrambling or throwing a 5-yard pass is exactly what they want you to do.
I'll tell you. So here's what happened. And I had a breakdown of why I thought it was a really good bet on Josh Allen over rushing attempts at 8.5. Now, I had this breakdown all ready to go last week, and the number wasn't up yet. I'm driving in town. And I consider myself, somewhat of a safe driver, unlike Pauly. I'm at a red light, and I'm looking for the props, and it finally pops. It's 7.5 minus 125. But rather than texting and betting, never a good idea.
How many places have this with in-play props? Attempt, like you talked about.
Probably here in town, 2.
Yeah, okay.
But this is like Tuesday before the game. This is last week, right?
Gotcha, right.
So in terms of the in-play overall, I think maybe 2 will have it here in Las Vegas. Outside of Las Vegas, I have no idea. Probably a lot. So by the time I get home, the number went from 7.5 minus 125 to 8.5 over even money. The last time I looked, it was that could have closed maybe higher than $2 yesterday. It was minus 160 like 2 days before the game. And I actually liked it a lot more because of the weather. But I'm still going to go. And then during the game, what had to happen, he does the fake slide. How about that now? Again, the NFL rules. Oh, you're trapped. You're trapped after yesterday. A quarterback does the fake slide. The defenders give up, and then he takes off for a 52-yard touchdown. And then later on in the game, he's running a late slide. And at that time, Miles Jack's already halfway in the air.
I'm already in the air.
You can't change your body position.
I know.
It's impossible. You can't throw that flag, NFL. Think. Use your brains. It's the dumb.
They never do.
It bothers me so much. Anyway, that combined.
Well, hold on. The worst is when the receiver's going over the middle, and then I'm coming up to hit him, and then he'll duck down at the last second.
Right, yeah.
It's like I'm not aiming there. He moved.
These are not magicians we're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
So then Shakir's touchdown where he breaks 11 tackles. Maybe there's another run coming, and then they can't. There's just penalty after penalty on the final Steelers drive. The Bills were called for a 15-yarder roughing the passer. That kept it alive, and then Maddox refusing it. Anyway, so that's why we lost the bet. And it sucks and it stings, and I'm bitter about it, but what are you going to do? Move on, find the next maybe prop bet that you like even more.
Yep. And it was great if he had the over. How that turned out, and Buffalo had no problems moving the ball. And that's, again, going back to what does T.J. Watt mean to that team? 1-11 now straight up without him. And giving up, it was 26 points per game they were giving up, and they give up 31. So the other and Mike Florio was the first guy to bring this up about what happens with Tomlin's future now, and that was before the game. So they lose. Tomlin has 1 year left. They're not going to fire him. It's a great organization. They're not going to do that, and we know his resume. But here is the reporter after the game about just bringing up, hey, there's 1 year left on your contract. What are you thinking? And here's
Mike, you have a year left on your contract.
He walks right off the stage on the dais and walks away from the podium. That's it. It's like, come on. Do you understand what we have to do here? We're all teammates. We're in the media. I'm a reporter. It's what everyone's talking about. You know the question's coming, Mike.
Yeah.
And he just exits stage left.
I'll never forget Roy Williams after losing to Syracuse. Bonnie Bernstein. What do you think about the Kansas job? I don't give a bleep on national TV about the Kansas job. Yeah? Or the North Carolina job.
Yeah.
And he left like later on that week or whatever it was to take the gig.
Nick Saban. I guess I'm going to have to say it. I'm not going to be the coach of Alabama a week later.
Yeah, there you go. But, so it's coming. So what do you make of that then? Him storming off?
I need the tea. I need to talk to someone connected about are there any issues there? Are there any problems? That's just, to me, that's a weird response and attitude to have and just walk away and not even address it because you know that question's coming.
Well, I'm also like...
Does he decide I'm going... Here would be I don't know. People might laugh at me. This could be another landing spot for Belichick.
Yeah.
Or Vrabel or the big three.
I will compare myself to Mike Tomlin here for a second.
Yeah.
As you just heard, I'm still bitter about losing that bet. He was probably in the moment very bitter about losing to the Bills right after the game was over with. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, yeah, I know it was coming, but I don't want to answer. I'm coming back. We just got beat. This stinks. Our season's over with.
To me, it was a great season, though. They weren't a good team.
Yeah, agreed.
It was a dog and pony show. Every game they're outgained, they win. I think the bigger question also, well, not bigger because Tomlin's a great coach. Good coach. Complicated legacy. Take a timeout before the half there, Mike. You got three of them. But in any event, what do you do at quarterback? Kenny Pickett cannot play.
I would actually...
He's made 24 starts and has thrown multiple touchdowns in one game.
Yeah. Well, more on this coming up at the top of the hour because one draft pundit threw out a possible pick for Justin Fields, which is... If this were to happen, I mean, it's one of the most outrageous things I've ever heard in my entire life. Should the Steelers be in the market for Justin Fields? I say yes.
I think that's a good fit.
So do I.
I like it. Can Pickett play? Is he the answer? Have you seen enough?
2 years in, no.
I don't think he can play.
No, if we say this about Bryce Young after 1 year, Kenny Pickett, really, what has he shown in 2 years?
Look how better the offense was and what the passing game looked like, specifically Pickens once Rudolph came.
And am I wrong on this, Pauly? But Pickens, Johnson, Freiermuth.
Oh, yeah.
The backfield that they have, they don't have weapons?
No more Canada issues. He's gone. Absolutely.
I think they're pretty good. I think they're kind of set on offense, actually.
Now, they made a mistake yesterday. They should have needed more. They needed to run the ball more, especially with what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
Warren's averaging 5 yards a carry.
Well,
come on, more touches here.
Yeah,
come on.
That guy has to get the ball more. I mean, Harris has his moments as well, but like Jalen Warren's ready to pop every time he touches the ball.
Yeah.
So let's follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. We will play you that audio coming up next about this. Again, it was thrown out there about a possible trade partner for the Chicago Bears and maybe landing Justin Fields. And we'll get into more of a recap of what took place, tying that into the divisional numbers that we have coming up this weekend here on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.